Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the DLF Trade Show and the DLF YouTube channel. And we are here sometime. I don't know when this is getting recorded, or well, I know it's getting recorded. It's getting recorded now. I think it's getting posted next week, and we missed this week because there was something wrong with Addison's face. I don't know.
Nah, it
looks fine. I mean, I will say it looks like it normally does.
Thank you. That's good. Yeah. The past couple of days was terrible. I don't know if it's allergies or if this is a cold or what is terrible. So I appreciate taking the week off. But now we have to record for next week, which is now when you're watching this, because you're gone. So
I'm gone. Except it will have nothing to do with my face.
That's good.
Just saying. So I had the idea of saying, hey, Addison, do the work for me. Look to see if there are trades where there's only quarterbacks on one side, because we've talked about it from the very beginning. There's a quarterback tax you have to pay in order to get one without giving one. There you go. The hands went in the right directions that time. You know, and same the other way around. You should expect to get overpaid for sending away a quarterback if you're not getting one back. So I wanted to see what he was able to pull. And since he's the smart man that he is, he went through different tiers of quarterbacks and not just all of the top tier guys, which I still would have found insanely interesting. It just wouldn't have been as helpful. But let's start at the top, because that's where you start, right? We're going to start with Joe Burrow. The first one we have, well, they're both 12-team superflex. The first trade is Joe Burrow, Alvin Kamara, Kendre Miller for Garrett Wilson, Tony Pollard, and a 24th third. So I kind of want to just take out the third, Kamara and Miller, and call this Burrow for Wilson and Pollard. Is that a little inappropriate just for the level of the trade it's at?
No, I mean, those are the main pieces for sure.
Yeah, like you're not trading Kamara and Miller for a third for sure, but like, I don't know, it's hard to put their value into this trade.
Right.
Okay, so Garrett Wilson is really, really, really good.
Yes.
We haven't seen him score as a top 5, 6, 7 wide receiver that he's ranked as. I believe it should happen and be for an extended period of time. I don't necessarily I'm happy he has someone like Aaron Rodgers. I don't think it needs to be someone like Aaron Rodgers. So I'm still in on Wilson, even if Rodgers does it. Words are not strong today. And Tony Pollard, I'm still struggling. Like, I get it. The dude's probably going to be top 10 to 12 running back this season. Next season, who the heck knows? His value, he's 26. His value is he can't go up. His value is going to keep going down. Saying all this out loud, like, I would easily send this for someone like Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow being a 26-year-old quarterback, every time someone's like, well, his touchdown efficiency is going to go down, or, you know, the passing work is going to go down, I literally just like shrug my shoulders and be like, why? Look who he has. Like, I really do believe they're going to do whatever to bring this guy back. They don't have to worry about Chase for another year. Like, you're going to get 2 strong years without worry of Joe Burrow. And that's all that really matters, right? Like, we're not playing in a bigger window than that. To me, this is easily the quarterback.
Interesting. So this trade is actually from a YouTube member who's in our Discord channel. Shout out Mustang. So we were talking through, he was trying to acquire Joe Burrow and he was talking through some offers and stuff. And I believe this is what his league mate ultimately sent him, was this trade. So we were trying to figure out,
he would be sending away Burrow or acquiring Burrow?
He would be acquiring Burrow, sending away Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard. So we were talking through, is this a good deal? What could we possibly counter it with? And I thought that this was just that Wilson and Pollard were a little too much for Joe Burrow. And I didn't really care about Kamara and Kendre Miller in the overall extent of this entire trade. So we were trying to figure out what different pieces that he could have coming back to him. And the other team also had James Cook. So I said, well, why don't you just swap out Kamara with James Cook? That at least gives you a younger running back, possibly more production, better longevity for sure.
That's for sure.
Just more future value as well. Because if you look at like his team, if he were to trade away Tony Pollard and Garrett Wilson, the rest of his team is not very old, but it's a weird mixture of productive veterans like Keenan Allen and Evan Ingram and Amari Cooper. And then he has Dak and Aaron Rodgers as his quarterbacks. And then he has a couple elite pieces that are young, like Jahmyr Gibbs and DK Metcalf and Drake London. And so then acquiring Joe Burrow is nice, but then adding Kamara and Kendrick Miller, giving away Garrett Wilson, it was a weird. I didn't know how the mixture of youth went for that team, and I don't know if it changes the direction of his lineup and team altogether. So it's just
you're
a weird
definitely trade. You're losing points in your skill positions, and there's no way to get around that when you're sending two very high point scoring players away and not getting replacements of that level back, because you're upgrading your QB like without question. Like right. Joe Burrow, again, unless you have Hurts and Mahomes and like 2 out of 3 of those,
he's your one.
But also that's why I do this, because all right, the next one we have is okay. This is the stuff I was hoping for: Joe Burrow and Dameon Pierce for Bijan Robinson and Chris Olave.
Oh my gosh.
All right, I'm breaking this one down into points. Joe Burrow is 916. Dameon Pierce up at 206 for a total of 1122. Bijan at 780 and Chris Olave at 619 for a total of 1398. You're paying a little extra to go get the quarterback, get the highest asset, and the most valued position, I guess, is the way to try and put it. This would hurt my soul to send, and I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could give up Olave and Bijan to go get Burrow. And I guess Pierce is a nice 1-year thing, but like whatever. No. I want something stronger than Dameon Pierce coming back is what it comes down to. Like usually the trades I send when it comes to, I call them sandwich deals because that's kind of what they look like, top and bottom, and then your 2 picks are in the middle. Mm-hmm. I'll probably go down in this case, like maybe 2, like probably 3 rounds. So give me a 5th or a 6th. I mean, Dameon Pierce saying a 5th or 6th startup round, but like we just finished the 6th. Then we're talking players like Zay Flowers, Javonte, Dallas Goedert, Christian Watson.
Pierce hasn't been picked yet. We're in the 7th. We just started the 7th, and Pierce hasn't been picked yet.
Exactly. Like, so there's a level of player I want better than Pierce. And I get everything I said before, sort of selling out to get that stud core quarterback. But this is too much. It is all I could think to say. This is too much. If this were like 14 or 16 teams, I maybe start inching towards that, even though stud running backs also gain a lot of value with the more teams in your league, especially if you have larger starting lineups. But like this, Dameon Pierce needs a mega upgrade in this for me to be willing to send Bijan and Olave. I would send Burrow for this and then probably flip Bijan into like Tua plus and then feel great about it.
Yeah, this is essentially the last trade. Just you are elevating Tony Pollard to Bijan Robinson. And I was already kind of on the fence of Garrett Wilson and Tony Pollard for Joe Burrow.
You were not. Yeah.
This is just that and then more with Bijan.
Wow. That was a ride. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is another good one. Daniel Jones, because beyond trading for Daniel Jones without sending a quarterback, valuing Daniel Jones is very interesting because he's at the top of that like tier 4. Like we get a point where there's that tier 2 we were talking about. To me, tier 3 is like 2 players, and it's Dak and Tua. And then
Watson.
Fair.
Put Watson in there for me.
Yeah. All right, fine if I have to. And then the problem after that is you're usually waiting like 2 rounds for the next quarterback to be picked, and it's usually Daniel Jones. So like valuing Jones is tough because he's the quarterback to come right after those guys, but how long? What's the gap in between them? So I'm really excited for this. So 12-team superflex, 1.5 premium. Daniel Jones and the 206 for Kyle Pitts. Jones coming in at 362, the pick at 95 for a total of 457. Pitts at 553. So according to the analyzer, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're paying up to get the quarterback. And I mean, it's not super far off in the first place. We're talking, it's pretty much the difference of an extra 206, which is not a big deal whatsoever. Do you think Daniel Jones can score as a top 10 quarterback again? I'm talking about fantasy points this season.
strictly because of rushing. But if his rushing drops at all, no.
There's no real reason to think it will, but regardless, but the answer to me is also yes. I think he has the ability to. He'll throw for more touchdowns because he threw for very, very few last year, even if he does rush a little less. I think he'll be fine. I think he will be good. I would get off of the roller coaster of Kyle Pitts to make sure I got a starting quarterback. I think I want more than the 206 coming back. I wish that was a player. I think that's what it is. In a 12 team.
does it change much if I say Daniel Jones and Marvin Mims?
I was literally about to say, yeah, you can just slide in Marvin Mims and I'd feel better about it.
Because it's literally that's who you would draft at the pick is just Marvin Mims.
That's really what it comes down to. Because if this draft fell weird and I'm like, oh, I don't like any of these guys at 206, this makes me sad. But yeah, if you threw in Marvin Mims, I'd probably be cool with it. Or Keenan Allen, someone that you know is going to score some points also. I get it. I don't feel great about it. I don't think just because of what we still have in the back of our brains of what Kyle Pitts could be. But I think I do this for Daniel Jones. I don't think I do it the other way around.
I'm not a massive Pitts believer, but I still see the upside, and still the Pitts upside is still so ingrained in my mind of what he can be. Daniel Jones, I don't think could ever reach positionally the upside that Kyle Pitts could reach positionally.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially in a tight end premium. So because of that,
it's not his fault that tight ends are terrible on a whole.
Well, that's true, but also just the level of players within their position as well. But so I think if I needed a QB2, I would not try to use Kyle Pitts as the bait for it. Essentially,
that's a very.
I would try to find an alternative way to go and buy Daniel Jones-ish production.
I was about to say, let's look at the next trade, but that next trade has that is not a similar slide in.
Yeah.
I mean, so what's the kind of player you would throw in for Daniel Jones, I guess is the real question. I'm trying to look around to see, because I don't have the analyzer open.
You're saying if I'm giving up Kyle Pitts, which quarterback, how high am I going for quarterback?
Oh, that's a fair question, but I was going to say the other way around. What player would you throw for Daniel Jones?
All right, so I'll answer both. So if I'm giving up Kyle Pitts for a QB2, I want Tua.
Okay.
Maybe Kyler. I don't know if you could do that. The other way, if I am paying for Daniel Jones, if you want to stick at the tight end position, I would give Kittle, I would give Hawkinson, anybody else below that. Basically,
Hawkinson
Kelsey
is literally in Superflex tight end premium. They are literally next to each other, Hawkinson and Daniel Jones.
Well, Hawkinson, I just had a whole tweet about Hawkinson as well too. So I would move Hawkinson for Daniel Jones, Kittle for Daniel Jones, anybody else below them. And then if you were to go, not at the tight end position, I would keep Tony Pollard over Daniel Jones. But
I would send him away.
We have different views of Tony Pollard.
We do.
I would probably go just below that a little bit for Tony Pollard. If you get to Najee or Ramondre, or
are you looking at the list, or are you randomly making this up and saying it perfectly in order?
Because I'm I can almost basically visualize what the ADP looks like.
You are visualizing it perfectly because those are the two names in order below Daniel Jones.
Yeah. So I would give them away and anybody else below them as well.
Okay, fair. All right, let's move on to the next trade because it's a doozy. 12-team Superflex. Daniel Jones and Jahan Dotson for Jonathan Taylor and Zach Charbonnet. Jones 383, Jahan Dotson 208 for a total of 591. JT 579, Charbonnet 125, total of 704. Yeah, I'm not doing this at all for Daniel Jones. I'm growing on the idea of Jahan Dotson. I really am. I don't believe he's going to be a top 15 wide receiver or anything, but he could be a very steady wide receiver too. And that's very usable. I think I take him over Charbonnet at this point, which in rookie draft season I would not have done. But there's just the difference between JT and Daniel Jones is too much.
Yeah, I 100% agree. This is fear of Jonathan Taylor that I don't think works for me in this deal. Like, I understand if you're like, man, I'm worried about Jonathan Taylor. Let me try and see what I can get to move him. But this
Even
is
if this was like 2 weeks ago when it seemed like he was sitting because they weren't letting him look for a trade or whatever we're at now. No, not like
yeah,
this.
no, it ain't. It's almost ideal that he does get traded because I feel like that's like any team that's willing to pay for him
Is good.
and assuming that they're trading for him to then extend him as well. You know,
Well, even if he's getting run into the ground this year, whether it's by Indy or by someone who wants to win.
right? Yeah, yeah, it's way too much for Jonathan Taylor. Like, and I really really like Jahan Dotson. Obviously, I liked him coming out because he was Penn State, but now you couple him with my favorite quarterback in the NFL right now, and I mean, Sam Howell's going to be the QB1 overall, and Jahan Dotson's going to be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. So
Yeah, that math checks out. Yeah.
With that being said, though, I would take Jonathan Taylor as actually.
And back to reality.
Yep.
This next one is a very good one. I love that you picked Jared Goff as our third quarterback because he is that quarterback right now that you're like, all right, well, let me just grab a cheap quarterback and go. Like you take Goff over Carr or Garoppolo. Like Goff to me is the top that top level of give me this 1-year quarterback to go get, and that won't cost me my team to go get.
And he's fun too because depending on who your QB2 is, you could throw Jared Goff into your superflex spots as a streamer. Like, it gives you a
Oh, he would be
streamable
my
option.
every week QB2, and I'd be thrilled about it.
Yeah, that could
That's
also work out too. But if
that's
you
the
have
way
like
I
Kirk
play.
Cousins and Jared Goff, or Daniel Jones and Jared Goff, like these things start to be decisions for you, which is a lot nicer, I think, in season when you get to that point than your QB3 being like Mac Jones. And you're like, when am I ever going to play Mac Jones over any of these other guys there?
The first trade, 12 team. Okay, both trades are 12 team super flex. Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers for Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cortland. I did not see this coming this way. All right, let me try that again. Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers for JSN and Cortland Sutton. Goff in at 226, Rodgers at 203 for a total of 429. JSN at 426, and Sutton keeping strong at 86 for a total of 512. Okay, it hurts so much to trade away JSN. And if I have a single quarterback on my team, I'm not doing this. But like, if I somehow found my way to need 2 starting quarterbacks and I plan on winning this year, I think I would do this. Like, it will hurt. It really, really, really will, because I love JSN and he's very, very good. But these 2 guys are going to score you a lot of points this year. And that could be worth, like, winning is worth it. And this does give you a very good chance to win. If you're not a heavy contender with these quarterbacks on your team, I don't do this. Value-wise, it's fine. Like, it is value-wise fine. Like, but if we just want to switch in another player, I'll feel better about it. Like, I don't give up JSN for this if I'm not winning this year, because these guys don't really have future value to me.
This is
good, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird, because I'm trying to figure out when I would take Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers. So I just heard you say that. And to me, I'm thinking, if you're a team that needs a QB2 and a QB3 simultaneously, are you actually competing? And to where, Goff and Rodgers, I'm sure, are going to provide you enough weeks between the two that you can Frankenstein yourself a top, 5 quarterback potentially throughout the season. But does that fit on your team if you're a team that has just one quarterback and then you need to scrape by the other 2? Does it work trading away JSN?
See, I'm talking about I'm starting as my QB1 and QB2 these 2 guys.
At which point is your team competing then?
Absolutely, because I mean, there are teams I won last year with only Daniel Jones as a quarterback. Like, whether everyone got hurt or someone got benched, like you can have a strong enough team. Like, if you were riding last year with Tom Brady's just the easy name to throw out there, but there's a couple of quarterbacks that did well enough last year, or maybe you made a trade in the non-point scoring season, not caring what your roster looks like, but you got good value. and now you're in need of a quarterback. Well, quarterbacks, and here you are.
Like
You're
you
walking
traded
yourself
away
into
Joe
this.
Burrow for Bijan and Chris Olave, and now you don't have a quarterback. And now you
Beautiful.
need to trade away JSN for Goff. And okay, so yeah,
Okay, and before you keep going, I pulled up our startup draft. Both shares of Goff went at the end of the fourth, 416 and 423. So that's pretty much what the 408 and the 412.
yep.
And one share of Rodgers is gone at this went at the 611. Well, the equivalent, it was at the 622. So the equivalent of the 611, and the other one's still on the board, even though we are literally 2 picks after that pick. So, give it time. Once one goes, the other one usually goes pretty quickly. So, like, that's the level of quarterback these guys are value wise. And I'm good throwing both of them in my starting lineup if it comes down to it. But that's the only way I'm giving up JSN for that.
I do wonder if Cortland Sutton, if you swap him out for something more likable, if that sways your.
That's true. We did not talk about him whatsoever in this.
What if this was JSN and Sam Laporta? There you go.
Here's my heartstrings, Addison. Just pull out, just grab at them. Let's just start tugging. I mean, I definitely wouldn't be able to do that. Like,
there you
we're
go.
talking too much youth and too much like gleam in the corner of my eye of optimism. Thanks for making it worse before we move on.
You're welcome.
Okay, so this one is very, very interesting to me. The next one is just straight up Goff for J.K. Dobbins. If you're not a Dobbins believer or Ravens believer or whatever, then yeah, I pretty much easily give up a running back for a quarterback. They probably might have a very similar career expectancy rate at this point. Another year or two, Goff will probably hang around longer as a backup because he's only 28. But like, how long are the Lions going to go without being like, maybe we can do better?
If they can make it to the playoffs, though, well, I think they'll be forced to keep going because they won't have a high enough draft pick to really replace Goff. They could trade for somebody, but
or who knows what? I have no idea what free agency looks like in the near future or anything. But like,
I don't think they would replace him with like Cousins. Cousins is a free agent after this year. I don't think they would just take out Goff and put
not
Cousins in.
vertical enough. I agree.
Yeah.
But who the hell knows what NFL people feel?
And nobody above Cousins is going to hit free agency.
I have no idea. Yeah. I honestly even forgot that Cousins was.
Trade for Kyler? There you go. That would do it.
That would do it. That would do it.
That would do it.
I need you to speak honestly to me.
Okay.
Is Dobbins going to score as a top 10 running back this year?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it hurts.
As long as he's healthy, I firmly believe that he has top 10 well within his range of outcomes. Back end top 10. Like I'm talking like
RB10.
Like Antonio Gibson did it 2 years ago.
Like Ramondre last year.
Or Josh Jacobs 2 or 3 years ago was like RB9 because he had 250 carries and 30 receptions. And
yeah, you miss one game, but you workhorse the rest, then you're still going to have a good score
Exactly.
over the season. Okay, so like again, in reality, yeah, I think this is something I very easily do to go get a quarterback if I need a quarterback. It will hurt, it will suck, but chances are Dobbins was not your running back one, unless you run your teams like I do, in which case this will hurt a little more. But like if you're giving up an RB2 to go get a starting quarterback, I think that's the right move. I think that's what you do now. If you played the non-point scoring season the way I do and didn't care about position, and now you need to fill your lineup, you send your RB2 to go get a QB2. I think that's just the right move.
On the flip side, though, I like this on the other way of I do think that if you're trying to sell Jared Goff, I would try to go for J.K. Dobbins, or I would start of a player in his range as well.
Yeah,
like
I don't know how much higher you're getting. Like
I don't think you're getting much higher.
Scrolling. So here's J.K. Dobbins.
Javonte.
Yeah. Oh man, I hate that I'm falling for these fluff pieces that I'm reading right now.
About Javonte?
About Javonte. He's
ready
catching passes. He got usage in the preseason. That's
4 receptions in the preseason, dude.
In one game. Like that's but like let's move around. Like here, Jerry Jeudy is technically worth more than J.K. Dobbins. I do that very easily for Jared Goff. All right. Well, we're hitting up going up. We're hitting Addison and Stevenson, and I do not do that. Maybe Stevenson. But go down a little bit, like Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman. I think I do that also.
I get down to Zay Flowers and Jahan Dotson, dude. Christian Kirk. Like if Goff has become expendable because of some recent developments in the preseason, like Goff was your QB3, but you were also stashing Sam Howell, and now Howell looks great, and Goff has become kind of expendable because of that. Or you were stashing Brock Purdy.
Oh, so you're saying you would take Zay Flowers if trading away Jared Goff?
Yes. Yeah.
I see that. I don't know necessarily specifically that player, but I get going lower just to get what you want. And
Right. If
technically,
Goff become expendable for you.
yeah, exactly. And there's literally 6 points in the analyzer difference between Flowers and Goff. So that story does check out also.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh man, I'm glad I got those DMs to think about this show. This was a really freaking good. Like, I loved this. I don't care what you people watching thought. I had fun with this.
Who cares what you guys think? We do this show for us.
I've said that many times, to be fair. But on that note, I just got the notification that my lunch is at the door. So this has been the DLF Trade Show on the DLF YouTube channel. I got a spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's, by the way, just in case you were curious.
Ooh. Yeah.
Now it's all I can think about. What did I say? I don't know, man. DLF Trade Show, DLF YouTube channel, Russ Fisher, Dynasty Addison Hayes, Adam Mays Hayes _ We'll catch you next time, even though it's a little bit from now. Man, I fumbled that at the end. Just do it. Just do it. Just go. Thank you. Oh, what did I do?